Hi guys, how are you? Today I'm super happy. We have a very special guest, Marjolein. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but she will correct me anyway, straight away. She has a great podcast about learning languages. So she's a very passionate language learner as well. And she also has an Instagram account. And hi, Marjolein. Hi, Marjolein. You can maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for introducing me, Laura. Yeah, it's really nice to be here. I think you have a super nice channel and we have a lot of similarities when it comes to learning languages, that it has to be fun and all. You should really treat it as a hobby and don't like pressure yourself too much. So about me, my name is Marjolein. I think you did a pretty good job at introducing me. Yeah, I'm from the Netherlands, but I've lived kind of like all over the world, from New Zealand to Peru. And at the moment, I'm based in Madrid, in Spain. So it's really nice city. And as Laura said, I help language learners to learn languages, to start speaking. That's what I'm most motivated about. Like, how do you actually start to speak? You know, start to use the grammar and the words you've learned, and also to feel good in the process, because like, it's not something that should feel like a must as work and like a to-do and all of that. So I know it can be stressful, so that's why I help language learners to feel a little bit better in the process and know what to do.
Awesome. Yeah, great to know more about you. I also love traveling, and I'm sure during your different trips or living abroad, you've had like very cool experiences, and probably thanks to speaking different languages, you've been able to experience the country or the city or whatever in a more, I don't know, in a deeper way maybe. And maybe we can talk a little bit about it. Like, did you have great experiences or better experiences thanks to being multilingual?
For sure. There's like no doubt about that, because actually a really interesting example would be Madrid. I lived in Madrid 8 years ago, and I didn't feel as integrated into the society because I didn't speak Spanish that well. Like, I spoke it, but I was really insecure. And I mean, I would speak it with a bunch of mistakes. I wouldn't understand everyone, which is part of the process. Like, that's absolutely fine. But now that I'm back in Madrid and I actually speak the language, and not only speak it, but actually feel super confident in it, I'm able to defend myself when I need to. For example, when there are certain situations at a shop or wherever, like, I'm able to get my point across with confidence. And and it's really nice also to be able to make more friends, to talk to people on the street. Like, I have a dog, so like, I'm super chatty with everyone I meet on the street. And so it definitely is a game changer to know the language, for sure.
Oh, how cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think it just gives you another experience completely. Like, I know a lot of people here in Germany who don't speak German and they speak English. And of course you can, I don't know, live and do everything, but I don't think it's the same. Yeah. Finding friends, for instance, or
just like feeling like you're part of the society, because if you don't really understand what people are saying to you and you don't know how to reply, you feel like you're living in a different universe, let's say. And for German as well, as you said, it's really, really nice to be able to communicate and make jokes with Germans. I was in Munich, really close to where you live then, a couple of months ago, and like, people thought I was German without having said a word, so I'd had to reply in German. And I thought it was so cool to be able to make jokes and like, just try to speak the language, and people were really kind, I think, because of that as well.
The joke I like the most for me is when you find something weird in German, you say, "Es kommt mir Spanisch vor." But as a Spanish person, it's kind of funny to say that. In Spanish, we would say "me suena chino." Me suena chino.
Yeah, it's like Chinese to me. Exactly. But as a Spanish person, you're like, no, it doesn't seem Spanish to me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and I think we might have a similar approach on that. But how do you go about with grammar? Like, I'm very curious to know that.
Exactly. So exactly. I just want to hear your point as well, but I'll give a quick example. Is that I'm a really practical person, maybe because I'm from the Netherlands and we're quite pragmatic, but I don't see grammar as my goal. I see grammar as a tool. And on top of that, there's so many different rules and so many different ways in which we can say something that we don't need to know all the rules from the beginning. We don't need to know all the grammatical tenses. We just need one to get our point across, and then we can expand on that. So for example, if I want to say something in the future, I can use very often like 2 or 3 or 4 ways or 5 ways to say something about what you're going to do in the future. Like even in English, you can say, I'm going to, I will, I must, I want to. So, you know, you can be super creative and you don't have to learn all the things of like the future. For example, in Spanish, I didn't learn, you know, like the iré form. I would always just use voy a until I was ready to use the other one. So really practical understanding, okay, what is my goal? What am I trying to say? And what can I use to say that? And of course, there's times that I'm clearly lacking it. And then I'm like, okay, let me open a language blog or like a forum or something and try to understand how like a grammatical tense works, you know, like there's a point where you just keep on hitting the same grammatical point. You're like, okay, let me just figure this out. So how do you go about grammar?
I think it's we do have a similar approach. I don't really like explicit language grammar practice or I don't know, learning. I find it super boring. I also don't like vocabulary lists. I just find it boring. But whenever I'm in that situation, I might want to, you know, look it up. And then I do. Like, for instance, when I was learning Italian, of course, it's very close to other languages I speak, but I just use the natural approach. And then naturally, I heard something in a video and thought, why is that way? And then I looked it up, but it wasn't really like I needed to talk, right? I mean, it would be different if it was like a completely different language, I guess. Like I had to learn lots of grammar for Russian, for instance, at the beginning. But as soon as I can, I just kind of drop it and not practice it, you know, intentionally, because I don't like it.
So how did you go about the complex Russian grammar then?
I mean, in that case, I had a teacher and I was going through these, you know, super boring exercises for a long time. Maybe it wasn't the best method either, right? It would have been better to just learn it maybe with easy text and, you know, finding out, letting your brain find out the rules. But there are many rules. And if you just use the natural approach, I think when you don't understand almost anything, it's very complex. Like, I think you should still use the, you know, the advantages of being able to read or, you know, being able to speak all the languages maybe.
Sure.
So, but if it's a close language like Italian or Swedish, I'm learning Swedish right now and I'm using the natural approach. I'm not explicitly learning grammar almost at all. And I love it. So if I can avoid it, I avoid it. But if it's a language where it's completely different, then I am interested sometimes, but it's like, okay, maybe 5% of the time, but not too much, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Good advice. And indeed, like, it's true that, you know, at the beginning, we might need some more explanations or we might need some more help. And I think it's really nice at the beginning to kind of like have like the corners of the puzzle there, you know, like, okay, this is what exists in the language. Thank you for knowing it exists. I'm not using it yet because I don't know how to use it. But then, you know, you get more experience in the language and then you start to use it. So I completely understand your approach.
Yeah, for instance, like with Swedish, you put the article, the definite article after the noun, right?
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it would be absurd to just try to figure that out by your own. It would take you maybe weeks or months. And so you read, okay, that's how it works. And then you maybe pay attention to it, but it's not like you spend hours reading about the Swedish grammar, but you're like, okay, what are like the most different things in the Swedish grammar? And then you just figure it out over time. Yeah,
exactly. So, great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, very, very interesting. Also, I would love to know what your future plans are. Like, are you planning on learning more languages, or just maybe you want to maintain the ones you have, or maybe you're just, you know, chilling and we will see.
Okay, again, I want to hear your answer as well, because we have some languages in common here, so that's interesting. Well, it comes and goes, as in like, you know, I have also like personal projects and like I just moved continents and all of that. So there's always things that, you know, are also happening in my life. So I can't always dedicate as much time to languages as I would like to. But as long as I'll be curious, which I think is my whole life, I'll be learning languages. So like, even when life was busy, like I would still have all the input I wanted, like with, for example, Portuguese, or I still listen to Catalan music every now and then, you know, and I still have these events where I speak Spanish, German and Portuguese and French. So like, at least like I will stay with the languages I already know. But then when it comes to learning new languages, I'm really excited to get to know more about Chinese, because I actually lately have a lot of students who are Chinese, and also I have friends from there. So just like knowing some words that have like cultural meaning to them, you know, some words that if you know them, you can make them smile and happy and all. That's actually what I really want to do in Chinese. And then maybe being able to have like a basic conversation. And not only that, also like Arabic and Russian, Japanese, some Swahili and Hindi.
Nice.
But then always knowing that I don't have to get to a C2 level. Like I don't have to get to a native level, but like being able to make people smile and creating that connection, you know, is really fun. So how about you?
Well, I mean, I always say I have dreams, but I don't have plans, because, well, like you said, right? I mean, life changes so fast, and a lot of things we cannot kind of influence, and sometimes we have other priorities. So I would love to learn Japanese. That's one of those languages I really would like to learn, but I also know that I would have to put in a lot of dedication. I also really appreciate you saying this, like it's not all or nothing, right? You can also kind of double, learn some words and, you know, let it be like that. Like you don't have to always reach such a high level. Like you can just be like, okay, I can have a conversation like very basic in Japanese, and maybe that's cool for you. So
and the cultural insights you gain from that, because like, for example, there are some languages that are not my strongest, but then I still feel like I understand people from those places a little bit better, because at least I know a little bit about their language, which is connected to culture, but also some of the jokes and some of the programs they watch, some of the music they listen to. So I feel like it's not so foreign to me, which is really nice, because I think very often like we're afraid of different cultures, but I like literally plunge into different cultures and be like, okay, what are you guys doing? What are you guys listening to? What do you think of the world? Like, it's super interesting. So I wish everyone would learn languages for that reason. So we are like one happy planet.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a great vision, actually. Maybe, okay, the next question might be a little bit connected, but you know, some people sometimes say, well, all those Instagram and YouTube polyglots, they are all fake. And I would like to know your opinion about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's really interesting, because this doesn't only happen in the polyglot world. This happens like everywhere, that we have filters and like, or if you take a picture, I mean, you could literally take a picture of a clean desk, but maybe all your stuff is on the other corner of the desk. Like, you have no idea what's really happening in someone else's life. And that is a little bit difficult if you admire someone and maybe they're not 100% the way you think they are. But at the same time, that's already the problem. Like, the person that takes the picture or makes the video actually expects themselves also to be perfect, because otherwise they wouldn't upload stuff that seems perfect. So I think the first step is for us all to like kind of like accept our journey, to accept where we are at. And that's actually really applicable, because I made a YouTube video that I haven't uploaded yet, because I'm also a little bit nervous about it, in which I do make mistakes in Italian and Catalan and all of that. But I do mention it at the beginning, saying like, look, I'm uploading this because I want everyone to know that making mistakes is part of the learning process. But I am nervous about it. So I understand that people put stuff online that seems perfect because we expect ourselves to be perfect and we're afraid to be rejected. But it's actually a lot more helpful to see like people struggling a little bit and then finding another way of saying it. And I actually made a podcast episode about this, which is called something about like the importance of imperfect role models. And actually those people that inspired me on YouTube and all of that were those that were actually struggling a little bit, because I was like, okay, if they can speak the language a little bit, I should be able to speak the language a little bit.
Yeah.
Versus if I would see someone with a perfect level, all the mistakes are edited out, I'd be like, wow, I'm never going to reach that. So,
yeah.
you know, there's multiple layers there in this discussion. But what is your opinion about the fake polyglots?
I mean, I think I think there are 2 points there. Like you said, we present ourselves in the best light, right? I'm not going to come here with, I know, with the pajamas and whatever, right? So that's for sure. But, and I do have a pajama sometimes, so, you know, everyone's showing themselves in the best light, or trying to at least. But there's also, you know, the clickbait part. Mm-hmm. So if your title is called Polyglot Speaking 20 Languages, more people are going to click than if it's like Polyglot Speaking 5 Languages, pretty okay-ish, like not perfect. And I think, you know, that's kind of a two-edged sword, because people want the sensation, but then they click and they are disappointed. Like, I try to avoid clickbait, but sometimes, you know, you also want to get your content out there. So it's difficult to find the balance. Yeah. And also, I think, what are people's expectations? You know, like, what does it mean to be a polyglot? For some people, if you're a polyglot, you need to speak, I don't know how many languages, or they all have to be at the C2 level, or so I think it's maybe a topic of what is a polyglot, what it means to be a polyglot. And for me, that's why I chose the name Couch Polyglot, because I'm like, hey, I'm a polyglot, but I'm chilling, you know. don't ask me to learn don't ask me to learn 1,000 languages, because I might not have the time, or you know, it's what you said at the beginning, it's about having fun, it's about the joy. And if you make it, you know, your job to be the best polyglot, whatever, first of all, you're gonna probably fail. I mean, yeah, probably. And even if you don't fail, you know, are you happy? You know, that's like what you should ask yourself, I guess. So I think that's like those, sorry, those things, right? Yeah, but it's an interesting topic. That's why it's a little bit controversial, but that's why I wanted to bring it up. And it would be great if also you guys can comment down below, like, what's your opinion? Yeah.
But I think the conclusion is that what you said about expectations, people's expectations, is that if they expect others to be perfect, then they're going to be disappointed, because I'm sorry, like, whatever role model you have in life is not perfect. Like, they all have their struggles, or they all had to practice to get to where they are. And if we would see like all the videos of how, like, I don't know, like athletes that you might admire, have like all the videos of their practice, like, you would have seen moments where they wouldn't perform, or even in games, like one match might be good and then another match might be rubbish. It's just what life is, you know. We have or like whatever. So I think it's really cool to realize that no one's perfect. You should expect yourself to be perfect either. And but clickbait is a thing.
It's really definitely a thing. Yeah, cool. Oh, this is such a great discussion. I think it's been quite long, so maybe we can cut it here and go to the part 2, which I'll also link down below for you guys to see or to listen to. We probably make a podcast version of it on Marjoleine's podcast. And yeah, it was really awesome to have you here. Really looking forward to the next video. And also we might be doing a podcast episode for the Catalan podcast, because she also speaks Catalan. Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.